Next, we're going to look at how you can go about customizing brushes and creating a brush. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is select my brush and then the brush size. So let me see, find a nice brush size. I've got my number 50 here selected. 50 is the size of this brush here. Now I can go in and I can select over here. I can choose large list, and we can see that my brush that I've got selected is actually called Flat Curve Thin Stiff Bristles. And if I go through the different ones here, you can see the different names, and then looking over here you can see what the brush strokes would look like. I can do the same thing here. I can go through and see what they would look like. I just can't see the names. I'm going to change my color. Once I have my blue selected, then I'm going to begin to just make some practice strokes. And when you're practicing, you want to be able to contrast against your canvas, and so that's why I wanted this dark blue color. Now, I'm going to undo my brush strokes, and let's take a look at these different options that we have. I'm going to go, there's what my brush stroke currently looks like. I can go in and I can begin to adjust things like shape, scatter, and you see down here what my changes are going to be doing. Texture, color, I can adjust my wet edges, I can add wet edges, remove them, add texture to my brush, remove, scattering. All of these different things can be adjusted. Let's look at what my brush now looks like with the changes that I've made to shape. Quite a big difference, and that's the same brush. Now, if I want to reset it, I can reset it. I can say OK, I don't want to save my changes, and I'm back to my original brush. Or I could go in, adjust things like my shape and scattering. Maybe turn scattering off. Let's see. Yeah, I think scattering off. Let's adjust for pen pressure. Let's add wet edges. It's kind of a watercolor look to it now. Now what I can do is come down here and I can save my changes and name this one Flat Blunt Wet. It started out as just Flat Blunt, and click OK. And now if we come over here, we can see that it's been added down here to the bottom of my brush menu. And there are a lot of different things that you can do to adjust your brush presets. This is a very detailed menu with a lot of options. You can read through the book starting on pages 548 and 549 through 561 to get more details on how you can adjust the brush presets. Alright, so one last thing before we finish up chapter 12. You're going to create your own brush, and what we're going to do would sometimes be done a lot of times by photographers or artists to put their logo or sign different images. We're going to open a new document, so do File, New, and this is going to be 12E, so we're going to name it 12E, your last name, underscore, and then it's going to be named Signature. Click OK. File, New, 12E, your last name, underscore, Signature. You're going to make this a 4" by 4" RGB. Resolution will be set to 300, and the background needs to be transparent. When you're through with that, click OK, and your document is created. Next, you're going to select a brush, and what you're going to do is you're going to write your signature. So, get a smaller brush. And you're going to have to practice a little bit to get what you want. Didn't much care for that, and you need it to be your first name and your last name. When you have one that you're satisfied with, and you can keep playing with it until you are, this is definitely something that you'll want to do using your tablet. Once you have one that you're happy with, you're going to Command or Control click on your thumbnail to make a selection. Once you have your selection, you're going to go to Edit, Define Brush Preset. You can see my signature showing up. You're going to name this your first and last name signature. Click OK. Now you see my brush is now my name. I can go in here and I can go over here, select my brush. I can select whatever color, reduce the size. Once I have my size reduced, I'm going to be sure I deselect. Now it is a brush, so you can click and drag if you want. Now you're going to open an image. Let me go to Bridge. You're going to use your eyedropper to select a color for your brush. You're going to create a new layer, Command-Shift-N. I'm going to label this Signature. Select OK. Once you have a color that you think you're going to like, that matches your image, and you've stamped your name, you're going to go through and find a blend mode. Now for this image, I like Divide, which actually removes that pink, but I don't want my name to be what people first look at when they see this image. Or I also like Luminosity, which makes it dark. So I'm going to leave mine at Luminosity. You're going to choose your own blend mode, and I'm going to reduce the opacity to 50%, and that's what you're going to need to do as well. Let me remove all of my things. Your original writing with the brush needs to be saved as 12E, your last name _ signature. It's going to be a PSD or a Photoshop file, so select Photoshop. Make sure you're saving it in your Chapter 12 folder. And then 12F is going to be your image where you used your brush. And so you're going to do Command-Shift-S or Control-Shift-S, and this is going to be 12F, last name _ signature 2.psd. Make sure it's in your Chapter 12 folder. It's a PSD file, and save that. And that's going to have that signature layer with a changed blend mode on the image of your choice from Unsplash.com. There's a lot more to brushes and their functionality in Photoshop. However, this was a general overview to introduce you to them and the basic fundamentals.